You know the feeling, right? You're on a super important video call, or maybe you're just kicking back streaming your favorite show, and then it happens. The dreaded buffering wheel. It is the absolute worst. But what if I told you the fix might just be sitting in your kitchen drawer? Today, we're going to dig into that viral aluminum foil hack. So let's get right to it. Does this thing actually work? Is it a real science-based trick or just another one of those tech myths that floats around the internet? Well, let's find out, because the answer is, honestly, a lot more interesting than you'd probably think. Okay, so first, to get the hack, you have to get the problem. Most home routers are what you call omnidirectional. They basically broadcast their signal in this giant 360-degree donut shape. That means a ton of that Wi-Fi energy is just wasted, getting soaked up by your walls, your windows, and even the street outside. So how does a piece of foil supposedly fix that? Well, the secret here is some surprisingly simple physics. Wi-Fi signals are really just radio waves, right? A form of electromagnetic energy. And just like how light bounces off a mirror, these waves reflect really cleanly off of conductive metals. And it just so happens that aluminum foil is a fantastic and super cheap reflector for these exact frequencies. So here's the strategy behind it. When you place a shaped piece of foil behind your router, you're essentially building your own mini satellite dish. It grabs all that signal that would have been wasted and focuses it in the direction you actually need it, towards your home office or your living room. And that directly boosts the quality of the signal your devices are receiving. Now, if you want a safe and really practical way to give this a shot, the DIY community has kind of standardized a design they call the windsurfer. It's super simple. It's just a shape you print out on a piece of paper, you cover it with foil, and then you just slide it right onto your router's antenna. It's a really straightforward project, even if you're not super techy. And honestly, just by understanding this basic concept, you're already way ahead of the curve. You now know how your Wi-Fi signal actually travels through your home, and that means you can troubleshoot it in ways most people wouldn't even think of. It's a pretty cool piece of technology knowledge to have in your back pocket. But here comes the twist. This is the part of the story that most videos and articles just completely leave out. While this hack can make your signal stronger, it can also create this really bizarre and frustrating problem that I like to call the performance paradox. Just look at the data from this test. It shows the paradox perfectly. On one hand, yeah, the download speed got a fantastic boost, up by 58%. Awesome. But on the other hand, look at the network latency, or ping. It skyrocketed by 150%. And trust me, that is a very, very bad thing. So what even is latency? In simple terms, it's lag. It's the delay between when you click on something and when the server actually responds. 150% increase? That means you're going to feel noticeable lag on your video calls, a super frustrating delay in online games, and just this general feeling of sluggishness, even if your download speeds look great on paper. So why does this happen? Well, a simple, crude reflector creates something called multipath interference. You can picture it like a messy storm of reflected waves all hitting your device at slightly different times. This actually confuses your laptop or your phone, and it forces it to ask the router to send the data again. And that's what creates all that lag. And this is where the story gets really, really cool. A team of researchers at Dartmouth College decided to tackle this exact problem. They created a system they called WePrint. You basically feed it your floor plan, you tell it where you want the signal to be stronger, and its algorithm designs the perfectly shaped reflector, which you can then 3D print. And the results were just incredible. This computationally perfect shape was able to boost the signal by over 55% in the rooms where they needed it, while at the same time decreasing it by over 63% in other areas. We're talking precise, targeted control over your signal without that terrible latency penalty. And there's a huge practical bonus here too. By intentionally making the signal weaker outside your house, you're essentially creating a virtual wall for your Wi-Fi. This makes it way harder for a neighbor or, someone sitting in a car outside to even see your network. It's a simple and really effective security boost. And, this whole idea, this desire to open up our gear, to tinker with it, and to try and make it better, whether that's with some aluminum foil or a fancy 3D printer, that's the exact same spirit that's fueling the growing right to repair movement. And this is not some fringe idea anymore. It's actually becoming law. Big states like New York, California, and Minnesota have already passed major legislation that forces companies to give regular consumers and independent repair shops the parts, the tools, and the manuals they need to fix things.
For strategists, the entire movement is really built on 3 core ideas. Number 1, having access to the parts and information to fix our own stuff. Number 2, cutting down on e-waste by making our devices actually last longer. And number 3, challenging the idea that manufacturers should have total control over a product even after you've bought it.
And let me be clear, this is not a niche opinion. A massive 84% of Americans support these kinds of laws. So if you believe that you should be able to fix your own things, you are not alone. You are solidly in the majority. So after all of that, what's the big takeaway? It's pretty simple. Shape is everything. A crude piece of foil might give you a temporary speed boost, but it could actually cripple your connection with lag. But a precisely shaped reflector shows us that intelligently controlling how these waves move is an incredibly powerful tool for both performance and for security. And that brings us to one last fascinating question. All this physical shaping, it's really just a low-tech version of a feature that's built into most modern routers, something called beamforming. It does the exact same thing, focusing the signal, but it does it with software, no foil required. So how in the world does it do that? Well, that's a story for another explainer.
If this touched your heart, please subscribe, like, and share it with your family. Save this for more meaningful content ahead.